Welcome to Season 2 of Producer Points. My name is Justin Gammella, and I'll be your host. I'm a producer and songwriter who's had the honor of working with some of the best in the industry. This season, we're diving even deeper into one-on-one conversations with producers, mixers, songwriters, and artists, exploring their unique journeys, creative process, and insights that shape great music. Join me for real talks, straight from the studio, where music and life intersect. This is Producer Points. Welcome to another Producer Points Roundtable. Today we're going to be talking about how producers can get discovered in 2025. It's never been easier to make music and never been harder to get noticed. In 2025, the pathways to discovery are constantly shifting. Traditional A&Ring is less central, algorithms have more power than ever, and social media, sync, and niche fandoms now play a huge role in how producers break through. Whether you're an aspiring producer hoping to get your first cut or someone trying to stay relevant in an oversaturated space, the question remains, how do you actually get discovered today? In this episode, we're breaking down what's working, what's changed, and what's overrated when it comes to being seen, heard, and hired in today's music industry. Joining me are two incredible producers who have navigated both traditional and modern paths to success. First, one half of LYRE Music Group with credits for ITZY, Red Velvet, and Betty Who. She's built a global brand from both industry work and original content. Alina Smith, thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me.
And we always love having you here. And second, we have a gold certified producer, songwriter, and mixer with credits across pop and sync, including GAYLE. He is known for blending emotional clarity and technical finesse. Stephen Conley. Buddy, thanks for coming back.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be back.
I know. Yeah. We were just talking before that we both have like 3-month-olds. Funny enough, we're about to travel. So, and you were on like a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And
A fan favorite.
A fan favorite.
We're back at it.
We're in the early days of the roundtable, so we have to we'll see who really is the fan favorite at the end of the year. We should do a really horrible poll, and
we should
hurt someone's feelings. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about how to get discovered in 2025, and this is honestly, I don't know about you guys if younger producers hit you up on your social media, but it's the question I get so often where it's like, man, I feel like I'm really good. I'm getting there, but how the fuck do I get my beats heard? And how do I get in rooms and whatnot? And, I thought maybe we could start the podcast by doing very, very condensed versions of how you feel like you each got to start sending out beats or getting in rooms that you felt were, leveling yourself up. Alina, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, of course. This is such a juicy topic because it is really different now than it was even 7 years ago. Pre-pandemic, honestly, everything changed after it. But yeah, for me, it was honestly a combination of traditional and non-traditional routes. I did have a major publishing deal. I had managers, I had lawyers, I had all the normal stuff that everybody traditionally had. And people set up sessions for me. I showed up, I made tracks, I wrote, I sang, all of that, right? But funny enough, I think the majority of my current success comes from totally non-traditional things. So from being a content creator, being on the internet, building an audience. And there's a very interesting crossover going on now where when I started making videos, I wasn't even doing it to advance in the industry. I kind of just like making videos. I like connecting with people on the internet that do what I do. But it ended up being one of those things where I do a lot of K-pop and labels find me and they're like, hey, I saw you on TikTok. I would love for you to write for my artist. Here's a brief. So that was very unexpected and really interesting.
Right. Yeah, I love that. Steven, how about you? How'd you get your start here?
So I'm fully grassroots. I toured in a band and fortunately was in that band with a songwriter that had done very well for himself. And so he convinced me to move to LA. So it's plugged in the right way, but I've never had a publishing deal. I have my first manager my entire career. I've been in LA for 10 years. So I'm sort of grassroots. I grind it out here, man. It's sort of the people you know and the people you meet, and you sort of I've just done that for the last 10 years, and it's sort of worked out for me. I don't have the internet presence either. So like,
Right.
I pretty much just make fun of myself on my Instagram, which is fine. I find funny, but so I can't lean on that. But yeah, for me, it's relationships. That's like the whole thing has worked for me. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it because I'm actually like kind of in between you guys, right? Like I'm not making as much content as Alina is, but I'm definitely like I have a podcast. I've been,
sure.
Even during the pandemic, I kind of stopped making videos, but I was making videos just because I was like bored and I was like, I don't fucking know what to do. But yeah, kind of similar. Like I got my start, I mean, listen, I've been making music my entire life, and I had a band that I started with this other guy when I was like 23-ish, which seems late, but like who knows? But and we were actually doing music for Sync, and it kind of turned into a band, and we just started putting our stuff on SoundCloud just to like put it up there, and people in the industry like managers and publishers found us through that, and that's how those conversations started getting started. And from there, I saw my first publishing deal, came out to LA. The band toured, it did its thing, made us money, and then the band ended. And now I'm doing that's like the very, very, very shortened, condensed version of how I got started. Right where it was the internet, mostly SoundCloud for me, which plenty of people are still blowing up on SoundCloud, which is still mind blowing to me that there is that they still do have that like community there.
Yeah.
And yeah, what would you say was each of your guys like big break, the thing that made you be like, oh, okay, like this is now my full-time job? What was that, kind of transition for each of you? Steven, I'll start with you, man.
Sure. So actually, you know him very well. His name's Ryan Marone. He was a friend of mine just when I first sort of moved to LA a long time ago. And this is one of the people that you stayed friends with. And we just started doing more and more stuff together. And I really think that there's like, the stuff we're still doing is fantastic. And I credit him with doing with a lot of the help that a lot of the starting point jumps off from there, but also, I've my best friend Nate is also a great songwriter. So it's like, it's those types of things that sort of like the momentum starts. And then, the worst part about it is who you know, right? So like, I can say that, oh yeah, I'm doing a lot with these people, and that makes you quote unquote cool, which I don't love. I don't love that that's the way that it worked. But for me, that's sort of where it starts, because it really only jumped off a couple of years ago and felt like I was like, oh, this can be a full-time thing. I can do this. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like I'm still looking for jobs on LinkedIn. It's going to be a full-time career. So it's like it feels new and fresh to me in a cool way, even though I've been doing it for a decade now. But I just feel like starting last couple of years, it's really just that's when it starts.
For our listeners too, because I feel like we're all like very like modest and being like, we don't want to tell the full story, but I think it's like important to like be upfront, and if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But like, from when you came out to LA, like how many years did it take for you to like be like, oh, okay, I can do this full time and like not have to like do like random side gigs or whatever?
Sure. Does 10 years count? Because
right. Yeah. I think that's like, yeah, it takes a long time.
It takes a long time. And I don't think money is ever secure or sure, because you sort of like you count your chickens before they hatch, right? You're like, I've got all these productions lined up and these things that are going to happen, and 60% of them, 70% of them don't actually come to fruition. Gets to the mixing stage and someone's like, actually we're going to go with another song. And there's countless stories of people like, I had the Bieber cut, I had the Sabrina Carpenter cut, and then they changed their minds. And so there's I feel like the truth of that is that it's just going to be a constant struggle. And there is, unless you are at the top 1% of like, I am here and solidified and people are coming to you, I still say no one's knocking on my door. You know what I mean? Like no one's like, I'm still having to do the meet and greets and meeting people and be consistent. Like that's as much of my job as sitting here writing a song, I think.
Right. Yeah. Alina, what about you?
That was so interesting, Stephen. I connected to a lot of what you said, because you said working with your friends was like a big part of your like breakthrough. And for me, it was the same thing. It was working with my friend Ellie, my like very, very best friend. It's basically like my sister. So it is interesting. A lot of the times it is that it's just having those really close relationships and growing together. But to speak a little bit more on that, kind of like, oh, when was the breakthrough? You know, it's funny that you said it's who you know. I think it's 100% that, or it's who knows you. It's who you know or who knows you. For me, these days, it's a lot of who knows me because I just put myself out there and I don't really like contact people. People come to me like artists, labels, brands, you know, on the like content creation side. So, and I think it's really depends on the person, right? I know a lot of people who do not want to be content creators, right? I literally mentor some of those people and I tell them, don't make videos, even though
Right.
it works really well for me. I genuinely really like it. And I also am the kind of person that I don't like to go to sessions. I like my aspiration is to just like trotch around in my house with my friends or alone. I love to meet new people, but it takes me so long to get like comfortable to write with somebody and
Right.
like do those things. I'm not built for like the sessioning thing. And I knew that when I was doing it and suffering every day. So for me, I love like the whole like people come to me, they find me and like it naturally happens thing. But if you're not gonna do the videos and the kind of online hustle, then it is what Steven said. Like it is
Right.
who you know. Now you have to put yourself out in this like personal, like person to person way, in this like industry way as well, knowing other creators and you know, managers, everybody, publishers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because I don't want to give away too much of the story because it's the episode's coming out in a couple weeks. But we had Nevin Sastry who produced Shabuzi's huge hit on the podcast, a bar song, "Tipsy." Have you guys heard of it? It was literally the number one song last year. But anyway, what's crazy about him and is that like he's been out in LA just as long as I have. I've been out here for 10 years. I think he's been out here for like 7-8 years, and he's been working with Shabuzi the entire time. The entire time. Always has been with Shabuzi. And Nevin was this close to being like, I can't do it anymore. Guy was like struggling. Like every day was like questioning, whether or not he could like keep going. And literally in the blink of an eye, Beyonce throws Shabuzi on his, on her album, and then Bar Song comes out and everyone's lives are forever changed.
Totally.
And I think the lesson is in that, and it's something that there's obviously there's a billion different ways to go about being a music producer and having success, but so much of it is just showing up
1000%.
constantly. And I think everyone looks at like the Phineases of the world, where it's like this guy just like was always good and he just like plopped out and he like had a hit song coming out of him. But like that's so not the case. Like most producers, it's like it takes a long time to like build your name. Yeah.
And I have to interrupt because I have like a whole theory about like the successful children. I'm like, I'm so sorry. The successful children always have major help. They're from LA.
Absolutely.
They're from an entertainment family. They've been doing it since they were 10. Their parents are rich. Like they have things like a regular schmegular person from some little town somewhere or like literally somewhere else moves here 20 years old. Like it is going to take 10 years. Like
totally,
it is, and there are some shortcuts. Like I, for example, have been able to help producers and writers get their first cuts within like 6 months to 2 years. But that's because I'm on them and I'm using my relationships and I'm like opening up my network to them because they help me in many other ways. But other than these types of shortcuts, like it takes a long time. So it always like upsets me when people are like comparing themselves to somebody who got successful at 16. I'm like, literally stuff up.
No, truly. No, you're 1000% right. Because I do think that there's like there's like an unrealistic expectation, especially like with the internet, right? Like we see the top 1% of everybody's lives. It's like, oh my God, I didn't write the next number one hit. I can't believe how much of a failure I am. And you're like, oh, different paths for different people, And I do think that that's, I mean, Alina, you said it perfectly, but like that was at least how I still feel. I'm like, I feel like I learn every day, which is like trying to make it like a core thing for me, right? Learn something new, get a little better every day. Because at the moment, I even feel like I'm not the best producer in the world. I for sure know that. But from where I come from, I'm like just outside New York City and Jersey, like working industrious people, like I can certainly outwork you. And I think that ultimately for me has worked, where I'm like,
Yeah.
cool, it's not going to be, you know, I worked 7 days a week last year because I knew the movie was coming, but 7 days a week in sessions every day, like on Sundays, on Saturdays here. My wife drives her nuts that I do this, but I was like, that's the only reason things are coming out, because I like every day I have to just try something new because 98% of them are not going to come out. But
Yeah, I mean,
if I can
98%
outwork it,
is still a good number. That's what I'm
still
saying.
right. Yeah, I was
you
gonna
know
say,
what I mean?
if you're getting 2% of your songs every year, you're doing great.
Yeah. And the thing too that a lot of people don't realize is just like how long it takes to get things done. If like you look at like Billboard's like top 10, 20, 30 hits, and you would look at the average age of the main producer on those records, I guarantee you everyone is 30 plus, if not 35, 40 plus.
Yeah, it's so real. But
Yeah.
the children in my live streams are like, I'm 24, I'm too
Yeah.
old. And
Oh,
I'm like,
the
no.
amount of artists that come through and say like, it's over for me. I'm 25. I'm like, oh my god, like,
I feel
like you're
really
gonna be fine.
sad. I feel really sad because it seems like brainwashing. Like it's not their fault if they think
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's like you
that's
just think. I mean, listen. When I was 25, like I thought. I mean, I just said it earlier too, right? When like my band was starting to take off when I was 23, 24, 25, and I was like, I'm old. Like, I, like this is not okay. And like I came out to LA, and like I mean, it was weird for me. Like I was just coming out to LA as a 25-year-old, which is like is considered late, but I don't think it's late, in the span of your career. Because like I said, it's like as far as production goes, like artists, yes, a little bit different. Where it's like people hear something, you work with older producers who have been around the block a couple times to understand how to like do the thing and get great songs and make great songs amazing and amazing songs like fucking number one hits. That takes time, and that takes working on so many songs and doing the thing. And that's why the point being that like these are, it's almost like going to medical school or something. It's like you really got to put the work in, and there's a reason why like doctors, like they learn, and they keep doing it over and over and over. And it's like it's a weird comparison, but I really view production and songwriting just like that, where it takes time for us to, one, learn the craft, and then two, make the craft our own, to find our own sound, and three, have the confidence to like I feel like just in the last year or two I've really honed my confidence in a whole new level, and like shaping songs and like being like no, I think this is good, like let's like go with it. And it's like basing it off like sessions I've had with like A-list producers. Like they do that because like they're trusting their taste, and their taste is what got them those hits. And I don't know where I'm going with that.
Yeah,
But
no. But to your point though, is like, and you told the story about the guy who wants to.
Yeah.
I say the joke I say every day is I should have been a doctor. Come from a medical family, and my mom's a nurse. Like I should have been a doctor. Would have been way easier, right? Like, but I do think that there's like, in the same way, like 2020 hit, and I was like, nothing I'm doing I like, nothing I do, like sessions are now gone. I'm like, this is terrible. Like, what, I should quit music and do literally anything else. And long story short, did a bunch of therapy and found out that like the taste thing of like just doing what you like rather than chasing the A&Rs, the publishers, the managers and stuff, ends up like, it was like, I don't want to say it was 2 weeks. It was probably more like 2 months, but like it was, the turn was immediate. I was like, I just started doing stuff that I like, and people started responding. I was like, God, I wish I'd done that 6-7 years ago, but here we are,
That is
Yeah.
so real. I literally had somebody ask me today about K-pop briefs, and I know you do K-pop a little bit, Justin. I don't know if you do, Steven, but they send out, the briefs for people listening, explaining what they're looking for. And this producer I was mentoring, he asked like, oh, where do I get briefs? He was so focused on the briefs. And I said, fuck the briefs. I
Literally.
said, fuck them. I've never had a cut from them. All my cuts are just good songs. Like at this point, I'm just like, I'm going to write what I'm going to write. Y'all either cut it. If you don't cut it, I will release it. I will use it as a part of like an online thing. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do what I want, and you bitches better take it. Like, or don't take it. But like, don't tell me like, oh, we need this combination of this and this.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't fucking know what you need. You just need talented people
Truly.
to do their thing.
It's just some A&R like trying to like be a producer and be like, well, if this art, like I started learning those briefs were bullshit when my old manager mostly managed artists, and I knew those artists. I was friends with those artists. I was getting like the quote unquote intel from my managers direct, like whether or not they actually wanted outside songs, what they were doing. And then I would get these briefs and I would see those artists on there and see what it was saying. I was like, oh, it's bullshit. It's like,
complete nonsense,
it's complete and utter bullshit. Like, listen, are there some of them that are real in there? Absolutely. But I but I think it's like, it's always like younger songwriters and producers being like, yeah, you guys got any briefs? I got this brief from this like label. I'm like, buddy, just delete it.
There's a point where it comes where like I don't know how often you do pitch sessions. I don't typically do them all the time, but there's been times where like I hear the same thing from multiple groups of people, but it's like months later. I'm like, that brief is so overcooked. Like that has come and passed like last year, and I just chasing that feels.
Listen, every single one of my songs that has done well, that especially in the pitch world, that has gotten cut, that has come out, that did well, it was always just like exactly what Alina said. We just wrote a song. We wrote the song that we were meant to write that day. It came naturally. Someone had a sick concept. Someone had a sick melody. It was never like, oh, Rihanna's looking for yet another reggae song for the 8th year in a row. So like it's with that being said, and that's the taste thing too. And with the taste conversation as well, I think that the producers that I've seen that did have kind of quick come ups, I'm sure he's going to listen to this. Jeremy, Sarcastic Sounds, he'll be a guest this season, and he's been on already 2 roundtables. So we love Jeremy. But like, dude is 24, but like he had success super young. But because that kid, from probably the time he was born, he was just like, my taste is sick, and I'm always going to follow my taste. And he just had that like confidence that like it takes most of us like years to kind of like. It takes
so long. Yeah. Most people.
And he was always just like, I just want to do what I want to do. He's still like that. It's so admirable. He's like such like a, like a goofy in the best way. He's just like, this is the music I make, and like take it or leave it. And
that's kind of how it has to be. I just think, unfortunately, most people, this is like way off topic, but most people are not like raised to be like that. Most people are not brought up with the confidence to have that. So you have to like develop that as a more mature human.
Yeah, no, exactly. So and it's like, I work with him, like I see him, and I worked with people, producers like him who were like young, and they just like knew what they wanted to do. And like, it's something that I learned a lot from, honestly, like even Phineas being one of them. Like we worked together early on when he was super young, and like Alina, like kind of what you were saying, like I was going to say it, but you got to it first, that Phineas, like when he blew up, he had been producing for like 5-6 years already, just in his bedroom alone. But like his parents like gave him the opportunity to just be like, hey, just like sit and like mess with Logic all the time.
It always is like the overnight success is not like even like you guys talked about like struggling in LA for 10 years. I actually didn't struggle in LA for 10 years. I came here and I had a manager and like I had a cut. That's because I struggled for like over 10 years in like Nashville and Las Vegas and like everywhere else that I've lived before, and like making music consistently. It's not about like when you move to a place, it's just about how long you've been doing it, and what kind of help have you had, what kind of mentorship have you had. Help does help if your parents buy you plugins and like you don't have to work, maybe you just have the opportunity to like study. Not everybody has that.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like the point of my saying that, and it's going to lead into the next topic here, is that the one that I learned working with Phineas when I was 25 and he was 17 is that working with him and seeing the choices he was making, had been in LA for less than 6 months, and I was like in the, oh, well, like this is what's popular and this is what the brief says, so I got to make like these type of sounds. And he never was doing that. He was like, no, I just think this is cool, so like we should do that. And like I was working with him and be like, oh, I get it. And like, mind you, this was before like Billy and stuff blew up too. So it was just like, it was just one of the, it was like a huge learning experience for me. And then once I started doing that and like making records I wanted to make, like the first artist that I don't want to say helped develop, but I was in early with, that I like was able to do that and just be myself, was this artist. Her name is Ash. And I was able to and that was like how I was able to start momentum as a producer, right? And this is where I'm going to on the next topic. And I say it a lot, but the topic is like, good work begets good work. And what that means is, and in my story, and I'm one you guys talk about this too, is that like I was able to start building up my career because I did good work. Someone was like, "Oh, Justin did this song with Ash, and that song with Ash is sick. So I want to work with Justin. So I work with this other artist, and I would do another great song with that artist, and then it would like balloon and blossom, and like it becomes what's the quote exponential at that point. So like I think that's what I tell people too is that like if you're making good stuff and you're working with artists and you're just putting it out there, it doesn't have to blow up. Like none of the stuff that I did with Ash blew up. It was all like moderate indie success, but artists listened to Ash and then they were like, Ash is cool and that stuff is sick. And maybe it's not like conventionally huge pop music because listen, I did not make any money at all from that Ash stuff. Very little, very, very, very little money. But the money that I made because of it was very good, just like working with other artists. So Alina, maybe I'll go with you. Like, is that how you kind of found a little bit of success or like what's like your kind of vibe with that or experience with other producers?
Yeah, I mean, great work does beget great work, and it really is about how it sounds. It's not even about its success. Yeah, it helps if something's successful because it's just kind of obvious for people to hit you up after you've had a hit here or the successful song there. But honestly, sometimes if something just sounds really good, people are like, "Oh, who did that?" They are very interested. So, and even I am like that. I host these live streams every week on my YouTube channel where I listen. I probably get a chance to listen to 25, 30 tracks every single week. Maybe 20. It's hard to tell. I talk a lot. But I can really tell whenever I get somebody who's just got like a little spark of something special, you can just really tell. And it's very like, ooh, interesting. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things I haven't maybe like brought an opportunity to one of the people on my live streams, but I'm sure that I would if something kind of matched up. I really remember the ones that kind of impressed me a lot.
Yeah. Steven, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the exact same. I mean, again, good work begets good work. And there's like from my own, I try and monitor my own perception, the way that people perceive me at least. And I'm like, cool, I want people to come here and feel warm and safe and happy. And like, at the end of the day, like we're going to bare our souls and write an emotional song with someone that you just met. Weird. That's just like ultimately is just a weird thing. But at least what I've tried to do too is like, okay, you're going to step up on the microphone and sing. I'm going to, produce you an engineer and you're singing the song you just wrote for the first time. And it's weird. You don't know me, but like, if you can leave here today feeling good about your vocal, about the day, like I know that song will be good for that, but also that goes on to other people that that I know that may not know me but are peripheral. And I think that's like you were saying, like it sort of like grows that way. And my thought is like if I can be the guy that everyone loves to work with, I feel like you can't lose with that. And then the success follows that. If it's good and people like it or people happy, like I almost sometimes feel like if the day is great and the song's just okay, that song might do okay. You know what I mean? Better than writing the best song ever and the day was miserable. Like that's not going to work.
It's funny too because you both said the same thing. Like it has to sound good, right? And I think it's so much more important, which is like it's an unfair thing because I found that the more success I've had, the less sounding good my demos I can make because I'm like, oh no, I've proven I can do the thing already. But my buddy David Arkwright, who's been on the pod, has a good saying where he's like, your demos is like kind of like your business card, and it's so important to, especially I think it's very early on in your career that you really do like listen, like maybe you don't have a family yet, maybe you don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend yet, whatever, like that is the time early in your career to like put the extra time in those records and get them to sound as good as possible because I think what ends up happening a lot of time. There's this producer who I'm mentoring now where he's like in rooms and he's not working with like great songwriters yet. But I told him, I was like, dude, these songs are not good, but your production sound really good. Like keep doing that because people will notice. They're going to be like, oh, like I think you can have managers and songwriters and other artists be like, okay, this song isn't that great, but like, oh, this guy or girl like knows how to produce. They know how to make a record sound really, really good. And that's where that's why I just keep slamming in people's heads like, you gotta like make your stuff sound good. You gotta learn how to mix. You have to learn
No,
how to get a
it's so
vocal to
important.
sound good.
It's actually so important. It reminds me of when I was a younger producer. I remember people always like complimenting me on what my stuff sounded like the vocal arrangement. Like, yeah, even if the songs are kind of meh, people are like, "Oh, wait, like your drums are really good." You know, they
Hmm.
notice that kind of stuff, and you, funny enough, can still have progress from,
Yeah.
these songs that maybe never go anywhere as those songs, but they are sort of like your pathway to future things.
Yeah.
Totally. No,
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Steven.
no, I was just gonna say no waste of time is like
Yeah.
every production, even if it's not a great song, like it can be the thing that gets you to the next thing. You know what I mean? Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, you never know who is hearing your demos, who you might run into at a party and be like, oh, like they told me to send them something. Like I gotta send them something, or you finally got that meeting with an A&R that you've been wanting for so long, and they can hear that. Believe it or not, like I love to like shit on A&Rs because like they're an easy group to like poke fun
Shut
at,
up.
but yeah, to poke fun on shit at. But a lot of them really can hear past like a okay song and like hear what you're doing as a producer, right? Now, this is not songwriter stuff. This is purely producer stuff. And like, I mean, to me too, it's like I got a lot of work with artists because I was so focused on getting vocals to sound good. And I got a lot of work with artists where it's like, okay, maybe I'm not like the producer to like finish the record, but like I can get that start and I can get your vocal to sound really fucking good. And that's how I was able to get into a lot of rooms too, just from like the fact that like artists could come to me and they knew that like, all right, listen, I'm going to sound good today. And I
That's a
think
cheat code. That's a
yeah,
cheat code
Yeah.
right there. Cause like, not to shit on other producers, but I feel
no,
like 90% of producers don't know anything about vocals or vocalists.
no,
Like at all. So that was a lot of my first like really well paid work. I was making good beats, but I think the reason people like really wanted me is because I took these girlies and I always made them sound like pop stars, whether
hmm
they sang or didn't really sing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like between me and Ellie, my partner, we would coach them. I would tune meticulously and layer with them our voices. And everyone was like, wow, this artist sounds amazing. And them and all the other artists around them were like, ooh, great, I want to do that. I want to sound that good. That's a cheat code right there.
no,
Totally.
it's so important. And I think it's why it happens, right? Is because so many producers, I was a songwriter first, and I can sing. I'll put that in the biggest quotes ever. But I was recording my own vocal. I always was focused on the song. I was in band, so I always had vocals to work with. And I think a lot of producers that are coming up in like the more beat making lane, right? They're never working with singers, so they're able to get like their fucking kick to hit way better than my kicks can ever hit, or they're getting their whatever to hit so good. But if you're trying to do pop music, and that's what this podcast is mostly about, it's like, unfortunately, that's like not the most important thing. It's a very important thing, but if like everything but the vocal is sounding good, like it doesn't matter, unfortunately. And so, this is why I tell a lot of these like younger producers where it's like, you just need to do sessions. It doesn't matter if those other writers are horrible. You just need practice recording vocals and tuning them. And honestly, recording bad vocals is a great way to learn how to fix shit and make them sound good.
Amazing. No,
Totally.
amazing.
Totally.
It's like Melodyne school.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like that's like the advice I give so many people. It's like just do sessions. It doesn't matter with who, even if like even if you think the person isn't that great, just like figuring out how to work in a room and record a vocal and like learning how to like telling someone how to sing is a really hard thing to do. It's really awkward and it takes a while to like learn the language to, tell someone confidently what you'd like them to do, but without hurting their feelings.
Totally.
And that's not something that you can just like read a book and just do. You just have to,
No, that's like the improv work, right? Like
Right.
that's like the figuring out. Yeah, absolutely. There's like I tell people it's like vocals are just, it's all in your head, and you get to a certain point where like everybody can pretty much sing. And then there's the next echelon of like, these people are amazing. Anything that's going to come out of their mouth could be the finished vocal. But like, it's so in the singer's head where you just kind of have to like, again, mentoring another producer, it's like, that person steps on the mic, everything they do is fantastic. You're never going to tell them like, it's not so great. Like, no, it's great. You're the best thing I've ever heard. And, and they know that that's not true, right? Like they understand it in their hearts of heart, but like they need that confidence to record that well. And you only learn that by just like working with people with personalities and figuring out like, okay, what's my role here? What do you need from me? Like, and in my opinion, and and the stuff that I do is like, people want to be comfy. Like people want to be warm. They want to be a hug. They don't want to feel like the same thing. Like you leave that day being like, oh, I feel good about the way that I sung that song. Will do better for your song than most other things.
And the thing is, it's like, I give a lot more notes than a lot of producers because like I am such a meticulous vocal producer, but I can't tell you how many times people like, I'll always at the end of the day, I'll be like, hey, I'm really sorry. Like, I know I'm like very picky and I'm just like, so, they're like, no, like, this is great. Like, no one ever gives me notes. Like, I love getting notes. Like,
Actually, most people love it, don't they?
Right. Yeah.
Totally.
They want it. They want to be challenged. They want to like, I think, and you know what it is too? It's like always the most talented and best artists are the ones who like to be pushed out of their comfort zone a little bit and try things. And, especially when they hear the final result, they're like, oh, like this is what you were trying to do. So, I think it's just like, again, it's just doing those reps and like getting confident to like be like, actually, can you sing it like this and not like how you were just singing? It's a hard thing to do. Sorry, we're going on so many amazing tangents. So I'm like, I'm not going according to my thing, but like I love this conversation. Hey gang, I just wanted to pop in here to let you know that the best way you can help this podcast grow is to rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. It tells the algorithm to push our show to other listeners so we can grow. And it's one of, if not the best way to help support this podcast. So if you wouldn't mind, take a second to rate this podcast. Sharing it with your friends would be amazing too. All right, back to the pod. What do you, let's do a little bit more LA specific here, right? Maybe even Nashville specific. What do you guys feel like is important for producers to do socially if they're in a music city to kind of like start making those connections? Alina, I'll start with you.
Man, I feel like I'm such like the wrong person to ask because I'm like the most anti-social person. Like I'm in this house, in this room. I'm kind of,
the social could be social media too. Just saying.
I think it is these days you have a choice. You have a choice, right? So like going back 10 years ago, 8 years ago, Nashville, early LA for me, obviously social media wasn't as prevalent for producers. So I did all the things that you're kind of supposed to do to meet people, which is session a lot. That is a great way to meet people because they meet you in a creative setting, they see you work, and a lot of the times that's a great opportunity just like to make a good impression on somebody. Right. I would say just being social, knowing people, going to their show, going to their house party, just normal stuff like that's like very like entertainment city and any type of entertainment, just not just music. But I mean, yeah, that stuff works. Going to coffee with people, getting to know people. It's great. And yeah, if you don't want to do any of that, like me, then get on YouTube and make a lot of videos because that is the other, it's not a cheat code because it's just as much work, if not more. Like it's just a different type of work, but you do put yourself out there and then you do get those relationships coming to you because you're out there. But yeah, if you're crazy, you can do both. Then you're like really hitting on all cylinders.
Steve, what do you think?
So I sort of come from the other side where I'm like, I grounded out, pounded the ground. I went to the parties, the shows alone by myself and just like sort of, I know I did the thing. I know I didn't have anything else.
Scary.
You know what I mean? And I hate making videos and I hate social media. So I'm like, and that couldn't be me. More power to you. I love it. I think that you should continue doing that. And if the person that's not in LA can make a video because they're not here, because they can't do the other thing, make the video. But for me, I was like going to places where I knew, again, shows, meetups, whatever. And like my favorite thing about LA and places like Nashville as well is like everybody's there to be collaborative. Everybody wants to work, right? Like you're going to walk in there and then in my opinion is like if I walk in there as a person that doesn't know anybody, someone else there is probably doing the same thing and just wants just one person to talk to them for a hot second. And that also works for me too. So I think that about LA is like that collaborative nature is everywhere in
Mm-hmm.
coffee shops. Like you walk to the coffee shop and somebody's editing a vocal in Logic. I'm like, what are you working on? You know what I mean? And it's as easy as that. And we're fortunate
That's
here
their
in
first
LA.
mistake, though. They're editing a vocal in Logic. They can't be
Well,
doing
I mean, listen, I've been in Pro Tools for 10 years,
no,
and
I'm
I
teasing
wish
Logic. I'm teasing
every day,
Logic.
I wish every day I was in anything other than Pro Tools, but that's just me. But no, I think that the like the pounding the ground thing still works. Like people want to
Yes.
talk to people. People want to collaborate and all. And like same thing, like you just said it. Like, oh, someone said to send me a beat. Like, yeah, that happens all the time. That still happens to
Mhm.
me, right? Like, oh my God, I'd love to hear what you're working on. It's like, and that can happen at a coffee shop, at a meetup, at a whatever. And I've just found that that's like getting face to face with someone that's in the industry. Like it can only help grow that circle a little bigger. So that's what I did, and that's kind of what I still do. Although I was invited to a party last night and I didn't go, but I have a baby, so I've got.
Oh yeah, the position thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone was there for him.
A very
Um,
good excuse.
I have an
Yeah.
excuse, right?
I played softball last night and
Oh, there you
destroyed
go.
my knees. No, I kind of like Steven. Like I came out here and I did the thing. I was going to school night a lot for listeners not in LA. There's a school night in New York and LA that it's like a monthly or bi-monthly show for like up and coming artists. Like one, it's a good time. Two, it's a huge music industry event, so you're always going to run into music people there. And three, like it's actually a great way to like find artists to be like, oh, that's good. We found new music. He puts
Yeah.
Grant puts on a show every
That's a fun
month or
show.
something
I've
like
been
that.
a few times to it.
Right. These are just events. Jesse and Friends, another great, more songwriter focused one. Sona, Songwriter of North America. Everyone should join that. I say that on every pod. They put on a lot of really great events. Your PROs, ASCAP and BMI. I went to so many ASCAP events when I first moved
I
here.
actually did in Nashville. You just like unlocked some core memories. This is funny. Oh God, it's the CMT, the Country Awards.
Yeah.
I used to crash all the publishers' parties. It's like
Nice.
got unlocked in my brain. I would like sneak into it because I wasn't invited, and I would talk to everybody.
Yeah. You just, and like, I think what it is too, right, is that like, it's a weird thing to say, but like just showing up and people being like, oh, Justin's here. Like he's doing the thing. Like he's in the mix,
Totally.
And at some of these events too, like at these, I don't have this core memory of like this ASCAP one. And in that room, there were actually like a lot of really good songwriters who eventually went on to do like really big things. And it's like, it was like an ASCAP, like young songwriter, like, just moved to LA event where like we were all there and we each played like a record and everyone kind of like spoke about it. But the point of me saying that is that when someone played a great record, everyone was like,
Whoa, yeah, yeah.
I want to talk to that person, and they were no one, right? So again, it's that good work begets good work kind of thing. But it's just like kind of putting yourself out there and doing the most anxiety ridden thing of just like talking to someone you don't know in a professional setting and maybe being like, and like this is the kind of next topic too, is that like you don't even have to say, hey, we should work sometime. All you have to do is just like add them on social. And this is my next question. Like, how active does your Instagram? I really think Instagram. TikTok is not as important, I think, in the music industry, at least for like songwriters and producers, right? But like, I'm a firm believer that in the music industry, your Instagram is like it's like your business card. People are going there. Like, that's how I find people. That's like, I tell people like, have some kind of fucking playlist for me, whether it's a Spotify thing of stuff that's come out or something, or like something I can listen to when I'm on your Instagram page, I can listen to some kind of music so I can check you out and see if I'd like to work with you. But excuse me, Steven, like what's your take on like how, like it doesn't have to be as like, content creation as Alina's here, right? But
Sure.
like I think it's got to be something. What's your kind of take on that?
No, I think that you're right. It's your business card. Like when someone goes to my Instagram, I think I have like 3 posts. I've done it intentionally. My profile picture is a professionally taken picture of me. I've got a link to music that's released. Like you kind of get the picture of who I am, what do I do, what like, and not that it's gonna make me sound like such a douche, but I'm like, I'm trying to project that like, hey, look how cool I am. And that's just what social media is. I
You
think it's
have
horrible
to.
and I hate it, but you have to, right? You have to put it out there of like, oh, this isn't, and like part of me feels like, I was like, I don't I don't want to give it all. I don't want my Instagram to be like every part of my life. I kind of just want to be intriguing of like, oh, this is somebody that's in the industry. I wonder what he's doing. And I feel like that like mystique is fun for me because I get to like, because I'm not going to put it out there. I post my stories every day, but I'm not going to like, I don't post the records that come out and stuff because I want to be, I want people to like, you know, go and find it and stuff. And I find that that's interesting for me. But like having a page, like having an Instagram page that intrigues people or like sort of gives people a bit of what you're doing is huge because I mean, I don't know if you guys like do the same thing, but like if you get a follow at either like 12 or 1 p.m., you're like, someone just mentioned me in a session. I'm like, and I know that somebody's going to my page and be like, oh, there's Steven. We just talked about him. This would be a cool thing. And it's sort of like an open invitation. I'm like, I know that I can message that person and be like, hey, we should work. If it's someone, you know, if it's someone that would work, you know?
Yeah.
That's so niche. I was like, very
it is. It really is.
Actually.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's 100% true. Like, obviously, my thing is a little bit different. Content creation is like a whole other beast. But yeah, even for producers I mentor that don't want to make videos, I always say, hey, at least have like a professional looking Instagram. Like, not to roast him, but one of the people I was mentoring, I'm like, bro, why does your Instagram look like all these outdated like pictures from you in college? Like, you haven't posted in 2 years, but you actually have had records come out and you are doing cool stuff. Like, why don't you just have, if you hate it, just have a few posts on there, have a link to your music, have a professional picture and call it a day. Like, it just needs to look like, you know, you're a professional in the industry doing stuff. It doesn't have to be fancy or anything like that.
I think what it is too is I think people sometimes they like, and I know I've done this personally, is they'll look at like successful producers' Instagram pages where sometimes it's like they don't even have their music on there, but it's like, yeah, that's because they're fucking successful already.
Totally.
Like my Instagram page is totally different than what it was 5 or 6 years ago. Like 5 or 6 years ago, like I was posting every record. I was making sure, like if people like, you know, and now it's like honestly mostly my family and like I like to take film pictures and like, you know, and then it's some of my opinions on the music industry. And then on my Reels page, it's like, that's where you can see all the fucking bullshit for the podcast. But but that's the point of what I'm saying is that like you listen, when I work with people or when someone is like, hey, do you want to do a session with that person? 99 times out of 100, unless I'm getting like a link that has music in it, I'm going to their Instagram and I'm seeing like one, who our mutual friends are, because I can be like, okay, who have they worked with? Like, oh, they seem to work with like Alina a lot. And I love working with Alina. Okay, that probably means I'll work well with this person. Or they have like, listen, this is just my take on it. Not everyone has to agree with me. I think it's important to have some kind of Spotify playlist on your thing that's like, hey, this is what I've done. And like, I don't care if it's successful or not. I want to hear what it is. Cause like, again, it's like, I want to hear if it sounds good, if it's cool. That, you know, success to me is like, it means nothing. And, you know, and like, yeah, like, I don't want to like, kind of what you're saying is like, why is there pictures from when you were 18 and now you're 26 and like, there's a random picture of a flower. Like, what are we doing here?
Totally.
Like, just don't have an Instagram.
The image of as being a producer, like in the industry is like, and your business is like one thing. So sometimes
we are
I feel
a business. We have to sell ourselves.
Totally,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's hard to be like, well, I really want to post this picture of like my entire family and then this beautiful sunset, right? But like ultimately, like the brand, right? Which again, it sounds so douchey to me, but I'm like, for me, like I don't need to post. I could just have this thing up here that I know that people are going to look at because I think that your opinion is absolutely true. Like someone's like, hey, do you know so and so? The first thing I do is check them out on Instagram. Yeah, and you'll see like we have 80 mutual friends. I'm like, oh. Cool. Like, you know, all the same people I do, we'd at least have a conversation about the music that we're both listening to and both making with all these people. Like, and that makes a lot of sense. And that sort of maybe continues that, like, you know, you got to know somebody in the industry to get in here. Maybe that like perpetuates that a bit, but I do think it's real.
I do.
No, I
do have like a little bit of like, even I think maybe like more inner like look at this because I do have like an actual brand online, right? And I think this honestly applies to everything and everybody, but especially anyone in entertainment doing anything, not just artists, but producers and songwriters. It's if we are not a meritocracy, right? If we were, just the most talented, hardworking people would win every single time, right? People would just say, oh, great work. great, awesome, let's give this person more work. But it doesn't work like that, because your work is, especially in a creative field, what matters is how other people see it and you, and not what it actually is, because it's hard to even assess what it actually is, because it is art and art is subjective, right? So everything really is about how you present yourself. I know a lot of artistic people really hate selling and brands, and like all it feels like really, like you said, like douchey and like cringy, but you might hate it, but it is what it's all around you. It has surrounded you, and it's holding you hostage, because this is like capitalism in the world we live in.
And it's like, I don't even think it's like the meritocracy thing. I think what it is, right? It's because I've had like kind of differing feelings on it, but I've kind of landed to where I'm about, what I'm about to say. Is that we're doing this thing where I'm inviting people into my home. And we're doing like, or on the opposite end of it, I'm a 36-year-old man and there's an 18-year-old girl coming over my house. We need that like, okay, we have mutuals. I can now trust you because so and so vouched for you. It's like it's like it's a real thing. I used to be like, well, it's like all who you know. It's like it kind of has to be, because this is a job where it's like it's such an intimate thing. It's not like getting a job like any other job where it's like, you know, your safety in numbers here. It's like I'm in a room sometimes by myself with this person, you know, and you've heard so many horrors, because there are so many, you know, usually fucking asshole male producers who like do horrible things.
1000%.
And, you know, so it's like, it goes a lot of different ways. Like, you know, that meritocracy aspect of it, like, I think it's always going to be there just as like a safety thing, and just as like a, yep, I need someone to vouch for me. Like,
You're so right. You're so
Yeah.
right. Yeah, because it is so intimate, and it's often in somebody's home. Like, I don't want some rando in my house, especially being like a woman producer. Like, I want to be safe. Like, you know.
Yeah, you want to know that, like, oh, this person worked with my friend and they said they're cool.
They said they're cool. Yeah.
You know, and I think that's why that it's so hard to break that first barrier. It really is, because that's really what you're fighting. You're fighting that like natural human emotion. Be like, I want to work with people I know. I want to work with people who know friends that I do, and like that getting over that first hump is so tough. But once you get over it, you'll find that things can move a lot faster than you think they do, as far as like getting into rooms. But you know, and usually how it works, right, is like, it's you and a homie that like you have no fucking business doing music yet. Like, you're early on in your career, you're still starting out, and then sometimes it's like it's your homie that like starting to have some success, and then your homies. I don't know why I'm using homie so much, but we're here. And then your friend is like, "Hey, I work really well with Justin. Can I bring him to the session?" And like that's how, like that's what happened to me. That's what I do to my friends. Like that's how I bring in people, and you know, just like everyone's scratching each other's, you know, back to like make it in this like really tough industry. You know, I want to move on to another question here for you guys. You know, we've talked about there's a lot of different ways to go about it, right? If you were starting out right now, how do you feel like you'd maybe go about using the different tools that we have now or whatever, starting your music career and getting over some of those humps? Steven, I'll put you on the spot first.
Sure. So I've got a soundbite for you, so get ready.
Go for it.
I think that this is the way that I approach this is guerrilla warfare. I didn't grow up with money. I didn't grow up with not being able to working a part-time job while doing music. Like, I had to do this. So like every scrap and bottom feeding thing, I've done it, right? I've never done anything that's illegal or bad, but like ultimately, like you have to do all these things because you're up against, like you said, the child prodigies that did have the laptop and they didn't have to work and stuff. Like, I didn't have that. So going to the parties, the social media, like the meeting people, putting yourself out there, music out there, just making anything for anyone that needed it, just trying to scrape it together. And then one thing hits, right? And then you're like, oh, I'm that guy. And like, I truly believe that like scrappiness is what's required, whether you're creating your brand on YouTube and stuff and just like every day waking up and be like, cool, today I'm making a YouTube video for zero people, like, and just doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And then, because as we all know, right, there's more no's than yeses, right? Mm-hmm. There's certainly more no's than yeses. And then when you get the no, just do it again. You know what I mean? And mm-hmm. you know, I've done things like, when I say done crazy things, is like I sent the same song with a new title because I don't think that the A&Rs listen. And then they respond and you're like, oh, this is actually great. I'm like, cool. So
Love.
like, you know what I mean? And like placements for Sync where I was asked to do a bunch of like pop rock stuff years and years and years ago. And I realized that I was doing all this work and nothing was getting placed. And I was like, oh, it's some intern looking at a list of songs that's just like, oh, well, this one for the episode. So I started naming like silly stuff like Punk and Donuts and like Cops and Robbers, and stuff started hitting. So it's like you kind of just have to just scrape it all together and be scrappy and not take no for an answer and just continue. And that's the only way that I found that works, you know?
I love that. Alina, if you were starting over, what would you do?
You know, if I were starting over, because I did what Steven was just talking about, I was like extremely scrappy, and I think it could have gone better. Now, looking back at it, I think there needed to be more intentionality. I would say that probably like if you can pull this off, the best way to go about it is being scrappy, but in a very intentional way, which comes from really knowing yourself, which again is a challenge if you're like 18 years old. But, you know, you absolutely can. Like looking back at my early start, I'm like, why did I try to do sessions? I do not have the personality for it. I literally suffered and had panic attacks for years every day. And, you know, now I don't, and I'm happy and I can make much better music than I could where I was just intention every single day, right? And that's just an example. I think knowing yourself and knowing what kind of artist you are, even on like a logistical sense, like what are your strengths? You know, maybe you're a really great singer who records themselves and makes great vocal production. That's an amazing thing to use, right? Why are you trying to make beats if you don't even like making beats, right? I know people who are trying to do everything at once. I'm like, well, why are you even trying to do that? Look at how your voice sounds. I would just go all in on that. Again, just an example. I think just
Even there, like someone who can do that, it's like I'd so much rather, and I know A&Rs would rather hear like a piano and like a great vocal production than like that and like add some shitty drums.
and a
It's
bad
like
beat.
just do that. Yeah.
Right. Or just go collaborate. And if you actually like love making beats, then do it as 20%. You know, develop it, spend time developing, and then eventually you'll be good. That's what I would say. I would just have like these very intentional avenues that align with who you are as a person that you can sustain. Because if you try to do things that are like long-term unsustainable for you, and that's very personal, very different for everybody, you will eventually fail. Because even if you're successful at it, you will not be able to keep it up. That's the thing. So I just think, unfortunately, a lot of the time, so many things are veiled in our industry, and people don't really know if they're even going to like doing something until they're doing it and maybe even successful at it. And then they go, well, fuck, this actually sucks for me. I don't even like it. My friend likes it, but I don't like it. So I think just exploring things and kind of whittling it down to what works for you and then going all in on those few avenues is the key.
Yeah. I agree with all that. I think for me, if I had to like knowing myself, again, just my own journey, I think I would give the advice to myself, be like, either be an artist yourself or find an artist and fucking stick with them and come up and like not in one artist. You can kind of throw your hat in a couple bowls here. That's not the saying. Doesn't matter. But I think I find that so many producers that kind of come out of nowhere and be like, oh, this producer's everywhere all of a sudden. And like you look and it's like, oh, they like stayed and they developed these artists and those artists blew up and they stayed with, and then because like those artists blew up, they were like, oh, again, good work begets good work. It's just going to keep going like that. So many producers that I really admire came up like that. I think, again, plugging my own podcast, but Ili Risk, who I did Build a Bitch with, like he was coming up, he came up with this artist. Oh my God. Rayami. And Rayami blew up, and like it was like she was like super fucking buzzy, and then because she was buzzy, he was buzzy, and he was doing all this other stuff. You know, you look at Dan Nigro. Dan's been doing music for a while, but as a producer, he started like honing in and working with like Conan and then Olivia, and then like now he's like the biggest producer in the world. You know, you even say the same thing, another Phineas thing, where like Phineas worked with Billy, and like so that's the kind of like route I would go. And I think that's for certain producers, that's like the right thing to do, where it's like a little bit harder. You really it's like really soul sucking at times because you're really putting it all in there. But I think when it pays off so big.
I mean, that's what I'm doing with LA. And it's
Yeah.
funny enough, like that works for me. I would rather do that and she gets whatever, 100,000 streams. But I had like a really amazing time doing it. Her and I have full control of what it is, where it goes, what happens. And hey, if one song doesn't work, we do another one. If that doesn't work, we do another one. And like eventually it grows. And if the artist is good and what you're doing is good, and especially if you have that magic and that chemistry, like it's gonna be great. It's gonna
Yeah.
work in some ways. Maybe you won't be Dan Igros, maybe you will be, but it will have like lots of positive effects.
Yeah. And I think this is like the advice too for young producers that like you have to remember that getting paid upfront is not the most important thing. That does not make you a producer. That does not make you a big time producer. It's like a lot of those examples that I gave, including artists that I worked with when I was first starting out, those were like back end, no money upfront deals. And a lot of those examples that I gave too were just like that. And fun fact, you will make a lot more money in the long run if those songs happen to blow up than getting $1,000 for your first production fee and then holding on to like very little of the master. So, I think it's important to like, work that part-time job, do what you got to do to like pay your bills and like go all in on an artist like that. I mean, honestly, my artist was like my band that like I went all in on, and that's what got me out and like got me into the music industry. And like, I think you can do that with your own artist project. Like there's way like, he was a guest that I already talked about him. Sarcastic Sounds, like he was able to do this because like he had like a weird lo-fi hip hop project where he like just made beats and like it blew up, and like now he's doing folk music, something completely different. But that's how we got to start. So, I think there's a million ways to do it, but that's if I had a gun to my head for myself, that's what I would do. Yeah,
I agree.
I'm going to ask one last question about this topic here. What do you feel like in today's 2025 producer realm? What isn't working? What shouldn't producers do?
Great question.
Yeah.
I'm honestly stumped because I hear so much music from people, but what comes to mind is like, hey, y'all should really use more reverb on your vocal. But I think it's a larger question that you're asking. And I actually think the answer was already answered earlier in the podcast. And it's not tied to 2025. I think it's just like an overall answer for me, at least. It's don't chase trends. And I think this will be true now. It was true 10 years ago, and it will be true 10 years, 20, 30 years from now. Don't fucking chase what's going on right now. It will never end well for you. Do you? And like from somebody who used to do that like very heavily, I know why you chase trends. I'm speaking straight to the person who's listening to this right now. I know why you do it. You do it out of fear, and don't fucking lie to me. You do it out of fear. You want that success because you're tired of being broke, and you want your partner to love you, and you want your mom to be proud of you. Don't fucking lie to me. That's what you want. And you need to let that go. Like even what Justin said about like having a day job, or I don't know, like just finding other ways to make money. Maybe it's with music, maybe it's with content creation, something that you like, right? You don't have to suffer, but not being desperate for those successes is your key, because when you're not desperate, you're kind of like good, you're taken care of. That's when you can be like, okay, I'm just going to make the music that I want to make. You don't look at the briefs. You don't ask me, what, Mr. A&R, what do you want? Please. No, drop that energy. Drop that. No one wants that. People just want your creativity. And if you're in that vibe, you're going to chase. You're going to like make crap music because somebody else made a bit better version and you want to do that and you want to be successful. Forget all of that. Just get yourself good, get yourself decently set up in life and make what you like. And that will lead to success.
I love that. Steve, you got anything to add?
Don't sign.
Oh,
Don't sign it. That's me intentionally being a shit kicker here.
That's very true, to be honest.
I just the amount of times people I look up to be like, oh man, like, oh man, so like tell me like who you signed to. I'm like, oh, I'm not. And they're like, oh, That's the best. I can't wait to be out of my deal. I'm like, oh, because I even now I'm like, man, if I just had Warner Chappell's name behind me, if I just had Sony ATV behind me, and I don't think it's worth anything. I really don't.
Yeah, and I think that's more true for producers and songwriters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because producers, at least we can like start making money from production fees, and songwriters, it's like
What do I got?
What, those advances really help, especially if like songs take sometimes, again, this is more for our listeners and you guys, like can take anywhere from 12, 18, 24 months to like start paying out. I'm in that same camp with producers. It's like, I think producers, if you can hold out on a publishing deal as long as you can and wait until you have a song that's like giving you momentum, and then sign a publishing deal, or sometimes even better, an admin deal, I think that's really, really, really good. Because and again, like I signed a publishing deal when I was with my band. I actually don't regret that, because we did need that advance to like put money into the band and like start doing the thing. But when I got out of my publishing deal, I was so happy, and I was like, cool, now I can like kind of do the thing I want to, and it's what I did. It's like when I had a song that was like doing really well, I had everyone coming to me and being like, what can we do for you? And I was like, I'll tell you what you can do.
The leverage has changed. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And you're able to find a publisher that you're more suited to a lot of the time, because you can really be choosy and like be like, I mean, like, it's funny enough, I get this exact advice in your episode, Alina, where it's like, I went into those publishing meetings and I was like, this is what I do. This is what I want to do. Let me know if you guys are game for that. And if you're not, cool, I'm good to like walk out of here and like, and say a nice day. Cool. All right. I'm going to go on to our second to last topic here. We have some listener questions. Citry City from Instagram asks, what do you think is most important to put your time into as a new top liner or producer?
I have an opinion.
Do it.
I think that, I mean, the mantra is always song is king, right? The top liner, producer, however you are, like, just work the song, right? Because in my opinion, I'm not the flashy producer. Like, I produce for the song, started as a songwriter first. So like, in my opinion, work as best as you can to get the absolute best song possible that you can, and let everything else serve that. Let the vocal production serve that. Let the song serve that. Let the voice note on the acoustic guitar, let it be that. Because if the song is great, the rest of it to me doesn't matter.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we kind of hinted on it, but I think as a producer and as a top liner in the pop world, I think vocal production, and the advice I give, right, is I used to study, and now there's so much easier to find because of AIs, but I used to listen to like huge songs, a cappella mixes, and just be like,
that's such a good hack.
Yeah, it's like, what are they doing? Oh, they're not adding the low vocal throughout the whole chorus. They're only adding it in certain words. Okay, noted. Oh, like the typical Max Martin, like, oh, they're building every chorus build. Okay, noted. Oh, they're peeking in ad libs here, and they're so like things like that, and you just start to like, you listen to it enough, and you start to like pick up on those tricks, and then when you pick up on those tricks, you start to use them in your own productions, right? And you're not copying, but like you at least have that in your back pocket, and be like, oh, okay, like that's something I can do. Things that you don't actively, as a young producer, you don't actively realizing are happening, right? Even like the dumb thing that we all now know because we've been doing this for a while, but like only, in a verse, like only doubling on certain words.
Yeah.
Right. It seems obvious to us now, but I'm telling you, most people who are listening to this, like, they're like, oh shit, I should only double certain words,
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I call these mediums, like how they have like watercolor, like different painting mediums. It's like, just learn all the different mediums. Like you are not copying. Like somebody can do one type of a watercolor and then another artist does a completely different one, but they're using the same tools. Learn the tools.
Yeah, exactly. So that's mine. Alina, you got one, or you want to go on to the next?
I was just gonna add my only exception. I agree with you guys. My only exception is if you're like a beat maker, if you just don't give a shit about top lines and you can't bring yourself to, then focus on the beat. Focus on the beat and then work with good songwriters. Because like my thing that I've learned is like you can never force yourself to care about things you don't naturally care about. So if you like beats more than you like top lines and songs, that's okay. You can still be valuable in the room, but do focus on what you love.
Yeah, no, I love that. And then this other question, I got to pull it up because it's from one of the interns. It's in my text. What is the standard to be expected low? I don't like that question. I'm not going to ask it. Sorry, Nate. We kind of answered it already. I mean, Liz, I don't know. I mean, you know what? Maybe it is a good
Poor
question.
Nate.
No, Nate. No, he always asks good. This is a good question. I just don't quite know how to answer it. What is the standard to be expected level skill credit within the industry, particularly when trying to operate in a scene like LA where it's so saturated? How do you stand out?
That's a good question, though.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a good question. That's why I'm like, oh, like, and that's why, you know, kind of like maybe kind of what I was just saying. It's like, get good at vocals, right? Like, I think he has an engineer kind of background, and I think like an engineer background is not as important as like when you're sessioning, just understanding how sessions work, and that just kind of takes practice.
I think it's being a vibe is almost like more important than being
I was gonna say
like
exactly
really
this.
good. Because I've definitely been in sessions where the people are like excellent, but they make me feel uncomfortable for whatever reason. I never want to go back
Yeah.
there again. I don't care how
Yeah.
good the song is.
Yeah, it's just like, honestly, it's like, it's not having the most skill, but it's like, it's just being chill and like, and you know, being cool in a session. And that's like, honestly, the most important thing. And like everything else, like, is kind of secondary. Okay, I want to wrap here because I'm taking up too much of you guys' time, but we're going to do one quick little thing. I'm calling this in the bounce folder. So before we wrap, is there anything that you guys want to shout out or something that you want to, you know, plug here, a song, artist, anything before we wrap here? Alina, I'll start with you.
Me.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, I do actually have something to announce next week. I have something I've been working very, very hard on, slaving away for months, finally coming out, and that is my music producer crash course, which is a collection of the 99 most important production techniques and tips that I've collected over the last 20 years, which sounds crazy, but it's true. I like went through my tracks for a long time just to find these like tidbits that I do that have to do with drums, vocals, mixing, synths, etc. So, and I've turned it into a course, and I think it's really, really good. And it's coming out next week, and I would love for you guys to check it out.
I love that. Steven?
I've got two things, one real thing, one like half of a joke. I've been working with an artist named Alex Beck, and I love her to death. We've been just slaving away at her project. And I think it's so much better than what the numbers are. And she's fantastic. And
Alex
awesome
Beck.
live, so.
I'm going
Alex
to
Beck,
look her up.
Yeah.
You should look her up. She put out an EP that we did together. I love it so much, and like just poured everything into it. It's like one of those projects where you're like, this is going to be a thing. And it, even if it kills me, you know, and that's that one thing. And then the other one is I have a pitch song named Cherry Wine. And if someone doesn't fucking cut that song, I swear to God, it's the best song I've ever written. And I can't believe it hasn't been cut. So
it'll happen eventually. We all have those songs. It happens eventually. My in the bounce folder is season 2 of the interviews started Tuesday with Captain Cuts. So everyone should check that out. Yeah, I think we're going to wrap here. Alina, Steven, thank you guys so much for sharing your time and your knowledge with our listeners and myself here. And take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Producer Points. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and share with fellow music enthusiasts. For an encore, check out our Spotify playlist featuring all the songs we've discussed on the show, giving you the perfect soundtrack to your creative journey. Additional audio and video editing for this episode was done by Nathan Rebello. Until next time, this is Justin Gammella.